Okay, so I've seen a bunch of videos and internet forum threads talking about never take apart the Savage 99 carrier. Just horror stories about all the complexity of it and everything else. So this is one out of a 303 Savage that I took apart quite some time ago. It was thrashed. It was worn right out. I had to put a new end on it. I chose to go with brass. Normally this end would be steel, but this one was absolutely thrashed. So I had to take it apart. So I put aside all the horror stories and decided to dive in. And in hindsight, there's just not that much to it. You can picture it as the main brass carrier. This is the head of a bolt. The bolt runs through the carrier. The wheel on the end for setting your preload when you put it back in the rifle, that's basically a nut. It's left-handed. This little guy on the end is also a nut, and it's also left-handed. This nut, I've seen hex versions, I've seen slotted versions, and I've seen a double slot with a gap in the center, like a security screw. So this could look a little different. This end here should probably be just a slotted drive. But that's basically what the carrier looks like. So to take it apart, you're going to get a hold of it. This one's been apart a few times, so it should come apart easy. But if you can't get a good grip on it, you may end up having to grab that in a collet or a cordless drill or something along that lines. But get a good hold on that. You can put a screwdriver in it, but if it feels like it's going to slip, then grab a hold of it with something. So the first thing to take apart is this lock nut. And again, it's left-hand thread. So I'm going to turn that clockwise. And that nut's loose. I'm going to take it off. And so now we have the bolt coming through. We have this nut on the end, but this nut is also tied to the torsion spring we're going to see on the inside. So instead of me winding this nut off, I'm going to hold this and I'm going to loosen the bolt. Again, it's left-hand thread, so I'm turning it clockwise to remove it. And there's the bolt. And all I'm left now with is that end and this spring. And the spring is what scares the hell out of everybody. But there's not that much to it. It's a few parts, very simple parts. On the end of the spring, on each end is a little tail. On the end inside the carrier, way down inside that hole, or this hole, there's a tiny hole that little tail has to go into. If you remember that the hole is in line with the main fin on the carrier, it makes it easier to find. Also, if you look at the end of this nut, you're going to see a little tiny hole off to the side. That picks up the other end. So do whatever you have to do once you've got it apart. To reassemble it, you simply hold it this way, remembering that the hole down the center is in line with a fin. You pop that in there, and you just kind of feel around for that hole in the end. And eventually, you'll find it. There it goes, and it drops into place. So I'm going to put that in. Then I'm going to put this nut on, and I've got to just line up the hole with the tail. And there, it's in. That sets in. I'm going to bring this bolt up inside. Again, it's left-hand thread. So I'm going to put it in. Now I'm going to turn it counterclockwise until it's tight. You can get on the end and tighten that up if you want. I'm not going to bother here. Now I'm going to take my lock nut. I'm going to put it on here. And I'm going to put it on. Again, putting it on counterclockwise. When it's all done, I'm just going to give it a bit of a snug. There you go. There is your disassembled and reassembled Model 99 carrier. That spring in there, that's your preload that you're going to apply. When you put it back into the rifle, you're going to set it. And I'm not even going to try to tell you how many turns to do it. There's so many people already doing that. But between a turn and a half in my eyes, you're going to put that in, and that's the preload, and that's what that spring does. And that's it. That's all that's inside there. All right. Thank you very much.